Hey everybody, welcome back to Writer Gadgets and Workflow. I'm KL Brady and I am back to talk to you today about the Ratta Supernote. Okay, so first of all, let me just say I'm sorry that it has taken me so long to get back to this video. Honestly, my work schedule has been left of insane. And I have been exhausted, like not, physically exhausted, but mentally exhausted. And so at the end of my day, it is just really hard to finish a day with all the kind of insanity that I've been kind of going through, and then actually think about putting my thoughts together about the Ratta. But what I can tell you is this, okay? What I can tell you is that I've been using it steadily for 3 weeks in and out. What I've done is I've put the Ratta, the Supernote and the Remarkable within arm's length, right? And during my work day, after my work day, and I've just seen, what I wanted to do is kind of just see which one I naturally gravitated to, right? Which one do I naturally pick up? Which one is easier for me to do, to integrate with my task, whether that's work tasks, whether that's writing tasks after work. And then kind of, what's the pros, the cons of them, and what I recommend. So that's kind of what I'm going to go through today. Now I'm going to tell you guys, right, this is super high level, right? I'm going to do a demo, but I'm going to do the demo in the next video where I really talk about my favorite features. Because honestly, to sit and talk about all the features of the Ratta Supernote, you could do an hour or two video. And there's a lot of features in there, and to demonstrate every one would literally probably take you about a couple of hours to really get a good demo of them. But I'm not going to do that. Okay, I don't even have time. I wish I had time. I do not have time for that. So what I'm going to do today is just go through some pros and the cons and pros, and I'm going to save the demos for the next video, and I'm going to try and do that one when I go on vacation, on my winter vacation, and then I'll be off for a couple weeks and I'll be able to really focus on getting that video done. But until then, you get the cons and the pros, because I wanted to put something out for those of you who have to make buying decisions, especially as the holiday season is coming up, and that you might end up getting, one of these tools as a Christmas gift, right? How does the Ratta Supernote stack up against the Remarkable? Is it better than the Remarkable? Is it? I have thoughts on that I'm going to save to the end. So let's just get started with the cons. There are more pros than cons. So I'm going to go through the cons first and I'll end with the pros. And then I will tell you my thoughts on who this tool is best suited for. And if I had $400 to $450 to $500 to spend on a tool, and one of the Remarkable was on my radar and the Ratta was on my radar, which one, and then Supernote was on my radar, which one would I personally buy and why would I buy it? So that's going to be at the end of the video. So here's the cons. Con number one. So the first con that I have is that, and it's really not the Supernote's fault at all. Okay, just letting you know, not the Supernote's fault. So in this case, size does matter. Okay, it really does. Now I will tell you that the Supernote that I got is the A6X. Okay, now to me, this is more comparable to the Mobi Scribe. okay? And it's easy to hold and all of that kind of stuff. But to me, it's more comparable to the Moby Scribe. Now, what I can tell you is that I am more forgiving of the Moby Scribe being this size. And the reason I'm more forgiving of the Moby Scribe being this size is because the Moby Scribe has a backlight. This does not have a backlight. That backlight is key when you're writing on this size and you have sight issues like I have, clearly, right? So if you have 20/20 vision and you don't mind not having the backlight, then this size, may work for you. But for somebody that needs to be able to see various sizes of text, you need to be able to write. That this size to me is ideal with a backlight. Like if you don't have a backlight with this size, then you need a larger size. So what I would say is that the con to this is really kind of a pro to the fact that they have the A5X, which is the 10-inch-ish size of the Supernote. If I were going to buy one, I would buy the one that is comparable in size to the Remarkable, which is the A5X, not the A6X. If this one ever gets a backlight, then I will recommend this. But without a backlight, I would say if you're going to get something this size and you want something this size, get the Moby Scribe, because the Moby Scribe has the backlight and it's this size. Okay? Just my thoughts. If you don't have sight issues and stuff like that, then it may not bother you. But for those of us who are sight challenged, you kind of need this size with a backlight. Okay? So that's con number one is size matters, and this is not the size to get if it doesn't have a backlight. Number two is that because this screen is so small, right? You really need like a bigger screen to actually type on it. Now, the good thing about this is that it does have, and we'll talk about that later, it does have another feature. I'll talk about that in the pros. But there are instances where you actually have to type on this and then you have to use the pen to type. And I would say that little keyboard is like typing on your phone. Now, for digital paper, it's a different thing than typing on your phone, to me, right? I have different expectations of typing on my phone versus typing on a digital notebook. And for me, that little typewriter is just too small on this. Now, it will probably be wonderful on the A5X, but it's too small on this, okay? So I would say that if you're going to use this size and you want to type, then you really need a Bluetooth keyboard. You cannot use the little typing interface that comes inside here, okay? So that's number two. Number three, this is pretty huge. Actually, I probably could have made this number one. But this pen, okay, gotta tell you guys. So what they did with the Supernote is they made a pen, right? And they gave it a ceramic tip. And the reason for this is that the tip never wears out. So you can write forever and ever and ever and ever. The tip never wears out. It is specially designed to write on this screen without damaging the screen. And it's supposed to give you the optimal writing experience. If I was stuck with this pen, I would have given up the whole tool. This pen blows in my opinion. I can't stand. I don't like this pen at all. Okay, I don't like it at all. Okay, if you're gonna get one, you really need a Wacom pen, and I will talk to you about the options later. But what I will say is, when I write with this pen on the surface of this, it feels like 100% glass. It feels like glass. It is the worst writing experience, especially when if you've ever written on a Remarkable and you know what that writing experience, you get the scritch and everything. This is not that. I can tell you right now, this pen is horrible. Now, they do have multiple pen options, and I would recommend You not get the ceramic one with the everlasting pen tip if you're going to buy this and you really want to use it and you really want it to feel like paper. This is not that, okay? So the third con is this, and this is what came with it. I think this was like the base option of what I didn't like pick any options, right? I just ordered this from the Good e-reader. I think that's the site, and it just came as a package, and this is the one that came in it. Ugh. Clearly, whoever designed this pen is not really a writer. Okay, they were just putting it together, but these are not people that write all the time. I can tell you that now. No, this pen is a new. Number 4. Okay, the number 4 thing is something I already talked about a little bit, which is the fact that it does not have a backlight. Like I said, with this size, you need a backlight, and the Mobi Scribe is about roughly this size, probably a little smaller than this. But if you want something this size, I would recommend getting the Mobi Scribe because it has a backlight. I would not get this without a backlight. Just wouldn't. Now there are some features that make this probably a little more marketable to writers over the Mobi Scribe, right? But for my money, those do not outweigh the backlight. That's what I would say. You know, weigh that a little differently because I have all of the digital tools. It's not like I'm buying one. I have them all. So I don't have to sacrifice, right? These are sacrifices I don't have to make, right? I could just put one tool down and pick up another tool. Other people are just going to buy one. And so, well, you can decide for yourself if it's something that you would mind having this without a backlight because it has other features that you like so much. But for me in my house, I'm a night writer. I like writing at night. I mean, this is the only time that I really have, once the days calm down and stuff like that, and my creative juices start to flow. It's usually at night, just before bedtime, in that hour or so before I go to sleep. And I want to capture notes, but it's really difficult when you have writing products that don't have backlights. So, that's just kind of the way my workflow is right now, unfortunately, because of work. But, okay, so no backlight. It can be an issue for you. It might be an issue for you. It's definitely an issue for me. Another thing that I really don't like about this that I do like about the Remarkable. When I open up the Remarkable to the main menu, right? So I don't know if you can see that, but if you get the main menu with the Ratta, right? You get their main menu. It says document export, my style, note, screenshot, inbox, right? These are not the folders that you create. This is the folder structure that comes within the Ratta. Now, but anyway, when you open up the Remarkable to the first page, you see your own file structure. And to me, that's what I want. I want to open it up. I want to see my file structure, and I want to jump into whatever I'm doing. I don't want to have to go that extra step. And then I don't want to have to go that extra step in a couple of places. Right? I want to go to one place. And so to me, that is just a usability issue, that I like the usability better, the interface and the usability better in the Remarkable than I do the Ratta. Now, what I will say though, is that, I'll get to some of the stuff in the pros because like I said, it sounds like I have a lot of cons, but I actually have a lot more pros than cons. Just suffice it to say, on any main menu that you use, and then we just go to the main menu. Okay. So if you can see the main menu, again, you have to go another step inside to get to your actual documents, right? Versus the first page being your documents. To me, it's just an extra step that I got to go through. And then again, in here, you can store your stuff in multiple places. But I will get to that in a minute, some more about that, because it's actually not the bad thing that you might think it is. It's really not. This to me is just an inconvenience, and it's a very slight inconvenience. Not a major con. It's like a super minor nit con. Okay. Last thing, the security. Okay, security is an issue. Okay, for me. Okay, just though I come from a law enforcement background, and so device security does matter to me. You probably don't have to be as concerned about security as I am. It's just inherent in me because I worked for law enforcement before, right? Just letting you know, I have a different take on things because of my professional background, right? But what I will say to you is that now, here, what they tell you is that there is a Ratta cloud, and that it is the AWS cloud that this is connected to. That your information will be saved in an AWS cloud. Now, what I can tell you is this: I'm AWS cloud certified. I know that AWS cloud is secure, 100%. I have full faith and trust in the AWS cloud. As a matter of fact, I want to say Amazon. Of course, Amazon is AWS. Amazon Web Service is so like all of your Amazon stuff is sitting on an Amazon cloud, right? So it's secure. Okay, that is secure. But what bothered me, and I haven't gone through all of the steps yet, so I may come back and follow this up with something else. But when I was going through the steps, it always took me to a Chinese website and a Chinese website address, and that to me I don't like, right? It wasn't like an American Amazon web address. Everything took me through a Chinese web address. Now, again, this is probably just me being super paranoid, whatever, but I don't trust the cloud. Now, what I do trust is just plugging it in and using the device. And we'll get to the cons in a minute, but that I do trust, like moving documents from your computer directly onto this using a USB cord, I think is fine. Using the cloud is another issue for me, and I know that I have a little bit more research to do to like make a firm recommendation, but I'm just saying initial impressions were that's not something I'm comfortable with using yet. Just not there yet, but I may get there. I have one kind of con pro. There's a lot of features on this. I mean, a lot of features, but they're not always intuitive, right? They're not intuitive. You will have to read the instruction manual to learn how to use certain features, to learn where you can, because you can use features in some places that you can't use them in others. There's some features that aren't even universal to the device. And so you can do some things in notes that you can't do in documents, and you can do some things in documents that you can't do in notes, and then you do some things in PDFs that you can't. I mean, it's just, so you have to learn the feature, where you can use it, and how to use it, where you can use it. It's like, there's a few extra steps there. So what I will say is the good thing is that there's a lot of features available, but they're not intuitive. And because of how this is broken up, you cannot universally use some features in one place that are available in another place. And, that matters. That really matters. It's there's a learning curve in using this tool. And so that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, I want to get to the pros of this tool because there's a lot of goodness happening with this tool. Okay, so pro number one for me is that it was so easy to get started. It has a USB connector. Everything except my iPhone and my Books Max, I think, have USB-C connectors. My FreeWrite, everything has a USB-C connector. Even the Remarkable 2 uses a USB-C cord. They use the same. So you can use one cord with multiple devices. I like that because I already have like a trillion devices and a trillion cords. Pro number 2 is that you can easily connect this to your Mac or PC, and immediately the file structure comes up, and you can move documents in and out. Now that was one of the reasons why the Remarkable to me was such a pro, because it had the app that you could download, and it was very easy to get documents on and off of the Remarkable, where you don't even need the app with the Supernote. You know, you can plug it in with the USB-C cord and immediately get to your drive. Now, what I will say is that using the drive, right, it's not going to be accessible across the cloud on every device. You're not going to have access to all of your documents across every device, right? But they do have a Supernote app that is supposed to do that. But I have not used the Supernote app, and for the security reasons I talked to you about before. I'm really going to have to do some experimenting with that to see if that's a feature that I would use. But for me, really, this is enough. Number 3, here's a big one. Huge, big, gigantic, huge. Okay, so one of the things that I always talk about with the Remarkable, and why this tool is really unlike any other tool, is because of the organizational capability and the ability to create a folder where you can put all different kinds of documents in one folder. What I can tell you guys is that capability exists on the Supernote as well. Yes, it does. If you got a Supernote A5X and it comes with the same organizational capabilities, and you would have a similar size as a Remarkable. Yes. You can create a folder in the document side. Okay, so that's a difference, right? Here, there's just one menu, one place. You can create any kind of folder within the menu. You can put anything. Here, there's a specific side of it that you can do it, but it is possible to do it. Okay, so that organizational capability, folders and folders and folders, I've tested it, I've done it. I know it's fully capable of doing this. One of the first things I did when I got the Supernote is to test it and see if it had that, because that to me has been what really set the Remarkable apart from other tools. And I will say that in terms of that, the capability is the same. The how you use it, where you find it, is a little different between devices, but the capability is in here. Yes, it is. That was a huge plus. So this is only like the second digital notebook tool that I have that has that capability. So that's definitely something to consider for the Supernote. Okay. Number 4, this is huge, okay? The paper-like writing experience, right? And what I can tell you is that, I hate this pen. I hate it with a passion, right? It just takes up space here. It's like here, if I have an emergency reason and I can't find another pen handy, I'll use it. But otherwise, I hate this pen with a passion unknown to most humans. I don't like it. But what I have been doing is using my Remarkable pen with the Supernote. And what I can tell you is that this Remarkable pen, this is the upgraded Remarkable pen. It's a Wacom pen. Now, what that means is that you can pretty much use any Wacom pen with this device. Okay. But this is the upgraded Remarkable. It's got the little heft in it. The writing experience improves 1,000%. Ironically, using the Remarkable pen. Okay. So, if I was going to make a recommendation, I would recommend, if you get the Supernote, buy the Remarkable pen, buy a Wacom pen. But to me, the writing experience is optimal with the Remarkable pen. Okay. Is it paper-like? So this is the Remarkable pen. Now you can hear script. It doesn't feel the same. Right? It just doesn't feel the same. Sorry. And it's not me, like, you know, I was fully willing to admit, like, the organizational structure is capabilities here, right? I'm not going to, you know, downplay if it has the good script. You can hear, but it does not feel the same. It actually feels more plasticky, you know, or more writing on glass than it does feel like the script of the Remarkable. It's just a difference. Now, with that said, for people who that doesn't really matter for, then it's not going to be a big deal for you. It's a big deal for me. It's kind of what I pay for the digital paper products for. It's why I bought the Remarkable, because I wanted that experience. But for most people, you know, you're not going to be the snob that I am. So that's probably not going to bother you too much. And in that case, it's fine. You know, just go with what you got. But for me in my house, even with the Remarkable pen, even though the writing experience is hugely improved, it's still not the Remarkable writing experience. I've been spoiled for that. Now, if this was the first thing that I got, like, and I never had a Remarkable, and I got this, would I be complaining about? Absolutely not. I wouldn't be complaining about it. I'd be like, oh, this is neat. But because I have it, you know, I have something to compare it to. And unfortunately, you know, I have something to compare it to, and it's just not better. Okay. So that, but it's good. You just got to get a Wacom pen. Okay. Got to get the Wacom pen. The other thing that I really like about this is, like, wherever you are, whether you're in a document, whatever you're doing, when you open it up, it goes back to what you were working on, straight back. The Remarkable does that, I think, for a period of time, and then eventually it will go back to the main menu. This one, it's been days. You know, I've been using this thing on and off for days. I can go 2, 3, 4, 5 days, open it back up, and it's going straight back to where I left off. The other thing that I really like about the Supernote is the space. This has 32 gigs of space, which is a lot of space. Very similar to the MobiScribe in that way. Except the MobiScribe actually has where you can insert an SD card and get a little bit more space. The Remarkable only has 8 gigs of space compared to the Supernote that has 32 gigs of space. So when you get one, you're going to be using it forever. Now, the question is, will you ever use even 8 gigs of space? And my answer is you're probably not going to use that much space. But it's kind of those, if this one had 32 gigs of space, would I be happier? I would definitely feel more secure that I'm never going to run out of space with 32 gigs versus 8. So there's a difference there. You know, mentally, there's a difference. Even if you'll never use it, you know you're never going to run out of space on this one. So 32 gigs of space does make a difference. Another great feature about this is that it allows you to create Word documents. This allows you to create Word documents on here and export them as Word documents. So like the closest that you could get here to that is probably creating a document, copying the information into a Word document, from a text document, or from a PDF document. That's probably about the best you're going to do with Remarkable. With the Supernote, you can just create a Word document to start, and then you don't have to do any cutting and pasting. You move that document out of here into your computer, open it up, and it's a Word document. For my next Pro, I think I'm at Pro number 8 now. Okay, so, and I've still got a couple to go. For my next one, this has a really, really neat feature. Now, in the notes, this is one of those things I told you where some of the features are not universally available across the thing, which would make things a lot nicer, right? If you're going to have a feature in one area, to me, it should be universally available, and it's not, because I tried to use various features in all the places, and it's not available. One thing that's available in the note feature, right? So you create a note versus a Word document or a document, right? Is that you can export a document using, it generates a QR code. You can, like I use my iPad or my iPhone to scan the QR code. The document goes into the phone or the iPad. You can open up the Word document or the note document in another device. And then for me, what I did was send it to Notability. And from there, I could annotate it. Okay? So there's some cross usage between my devices that I thought was nice. And here's the beautiful thing, right? Even though the Supernote does not have backlighting, I could send a note for annotating to my iPad, which does have backlighting. So that means that I can annotate on a document on a device that does have backlighting. And so I'm still kind of getting some use out of, so if I create something like this in the day, but I want to send it to myself in the evening and work on my iPad, I can do that. So I can kind of get those features. Now, similarly, I can open up my Remarkable app on my iPad, and I can, kind of do similar actions there. So it's in both, but it's nice. It's kind of a neat feature. Well, here's the thing, like if you can't plug, if you don't have a USB connector, right? If you don't have a USB connector to get your document, to move it physically from one place to another, the QR code is a great option, right? That you don't need a code. You can just take a picture of it. Now, I will say the Books Note probably has a feature that is similar to like where you can send documents virtually from, I think go actually either way, from the device to a computer, from the computer to a device, right? But I thought that was a neat feature. That's definitely unique to this. The other thing I like about the Supernote is that it has a calendar feature. It does have a calendar feature that is very much like the MobiScribe calendar. The thing that I like about this calendar over the MobiScribe calendar is that I can actually write my calendar entries into this, and that it will change it to text, typewritten text, almost automatically, instantaneously. I don't have to do any other actions to get that done. And I can also track my notes here. So what it will allow you to do is if you write a note on a particular day, see, sometimes I have documents in here, I don't remember when my notes. I'll write notes, but I can't find the notes, but I know what day that I wrote the note. Well, here you could go to the day and it will track all the notes that you wrote that day. So if you can't remember what note or document you created, but you know what day you created it, you can find it through the calendar. Now, that's a fantastic feature. I love that feature a lot because I don't always name my documents. Like, I will create a note, but I don't always name it something that's I can go back and easily find. Knowing that I can go to a couple of days and find the document, that's a big plus in terms of helping find your documents that you write. So that's definitely something the Remarkable does not have at all. So yeah, that's a great feature. Okay. And then number 10, this is the 10th feature, which is a lot. And it's not even all, right? These are just the ones that I actually got to use, right? The other thing I will say is that to me, this takes a step up. It elevates the use of PDF features, right? From the Remarkable. The Remarkable is basic annotating, and you can put your PDFs in there. You can annotate the PDFs. You can print the PDFs, blah, blah, blah. This allows you to, it kind of elevates it, almost going toward the book's note. The book's note, as you know, I've done a video on the book's note, a PDF features, where it allows you to find the specific pages where you annotated in a table of contents. Well, this has a similar feature. So for PDF annotations, I would say this is great. The thing that makes it tough is the fact that, you're trying to annotate PDFs on a document this small, which is why I again say that if you're going to get the Supernote, I definitely recommend getting the A5X versus this. But I feel like the A5X with the PDF features might actually kind of eliminate the need to go to a Books Max, right? Or the Books Max Lumi, which is $800 something. Like for me, if I had the Supernote with the PDF features, I probably would not have bought the Books Max. I think that's fair to say, because there's enough features in there that allow me to find the things that I need to find for work, that I would not need that next level of PDF features that you get in the Books Max. Now that I have the Books Max, I always use it for work. But this does have some pretty good PDF features that are over and above what you get in a Remarkable. I will say that. And they help with findability, which is key. Because, I have to be able to refer to pages like that. And this will allow you to do that. Whereas the Remarkable does not have those features. So it's definitely a step up with that. Okay. So those are the features that I really wanted to cover today. I know that's a lot, right? It's a lot. So big question, right? I had to ask myself this, and I wanted to be able to answer this for you guys. If I had $450 and I didn't own any tools, right? And I knew, and I'd gotten a chance to have a test at home with both tools. Try it at home for 10 days with both tools. And at the end of 10 days, then I had to buy one or the other and send the other back. Which one would I buy? Which one would I invest my $450 in? And I do have an answer for that. But it's not a simple answer, okay? You really have to look at your situation, your place, where you are, what's going on in your life at the time that you buy these tools, and decide, what works best for you. Now, I will say this. I really need tools that are instinctive, that I can buy, that I can jump into, that I don't have to read an instruction manual to figure out, that I can spend maybe a half an hour, kind of poking around and I get the gist. And that I can pretty much use most of the key features without trying to figure out what I can use where and all of that kind of stuff. I'm in that part of my life right now. And for that reason, I would probably still buy the Remarkable, because to me, this is the more intuitive tool, and it has enough features that I can use intuitively. Take it out of the box, plop it into the cover, pull out this, turn it on, and within about a half an hour or so, I'm going to have it figured out. I've used this for 3 weeks. And it has fantastic features. But I still can't figure out where to use things all the time. And can I use something in this place? I thought I used it in this place, but I can't use it over here. And this has a learning curve. Now, if you have time to sit, read the instruction manual, do test uses, test cases, using this, figuring out how to use it, making sure that you're using the right feature in the right place, and all of that kind of stuff. If you have that time to invest, then I would say this is a great tool, right? This is a great tool if you got time to study. Now, one good thing about this, the instruction manual is in the setting. It's in here. You can read the whole, 30 chapters of the user. That's not an exaggeration. That's somewhere. It's in like the 20s or 30s, right? But you can use the instruction manuals here. You can look at this till your little heart's content. You can study it. You can figure out all the features and all of that. I can tell you, I read most of it. I tested most of them. They are, even though I have gone through the exercise of using it, try to use it. If I went to sleep and woke up the next day and wanted to figure out, I couldn't do it. Like, it's going to take some routine use to like understand all the features and where you can use those features. And so that becomes instinctive to you to use those features. It was not instinctive, much less instinctive than the Remarkable. And that is what I will say is the huge difference, right? So get this, but just be prepared that it is not going to be instinctive, and you are going to have to take some time to learn it, to learn the features, and to learn where you can use the features. It's not an easy tool. This, for me, is a super easy tool that you can get at home within an hour or so of playing with it. You've pretty much nailed down all the important stuff. Once you get the app, downloaded, and you've played around with this for an hour, you've pretty much got it nailed down, and you can pick it up and take it to work and just get straight into digging into it. Tis not so with Supernote. Just is not. Now, that doesn't make it a bad tool, right? It's about what you need it for. Now, what I will say is, even as I say that if I really needed a PDF tool, now for me, the Remarkable is great because it's a writing tool, right? But if I needed a PDF tool specifically and a writing tool all in one document, and I did not want to have to pay $800 for the books max, then I would say this is your tool. But if you're largely going to use it for writing purposes and editing your own writing and stuff like that, and not annotating PDFs, then this is probably going to be the better tool for you. The bump up is really in learning curve, understanding the learning curve. You get the writing functionality. Don't use get a Wacom pen, and just be prepared to buy those tips, because I can promise you're going to hate that writing experience. And so the PDF features, the writing experience, and just be prepared to learn. Okay? Just be prepared to learn. But is it a great tool? Absolutely. Am I glad I got this? 100%. I'm glad that I got a chance to see. Now, if I was going to keep one, I would probably keep the A5X. Like if I had it and I was going to keep one, this one I will probably give away. I think I'm going to give away my A6X and my MobiScribe as, as gifts to some lucky user out there. I have to figure out a contest or something that I can do where I can give it away fairly. But stay tuned for that. That's coming up. This is probably not one I'm going to keep. What I'm probably going to do is give this away and then end up buying the A5X. And I will keep that one. Because, like I said, size does matter. I like it. I like it a lot. Don't get me wrong there. But what I'm finding is for my uses, the bigger, it's just glasses thing, right? The bigger tools are made more for me because of my sight challenges. So if you got sight challenges, don't even mess with these little devices. It'll be better for you just to get the A5X. And if you don't have one, if you need the PDF capability, you're probably gonna do well with the Supernote. Just be prepared for a learning curve. That is going to do it for me today. I know that was a lot, but I really wanted to make sure that when you walked away from this, that you could make a really good buying decision between the Remarkable, the MobiScribe, understand the differences and why you would want to buy maybe one over the other. Okay? So, with that said, thank you for joining today. If you like the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned because I do have some an actual demo coming up where you're going to actually get to see some of the features. And I also have some unboxings with some other writing tools for those people that still are stuck on paper. Okay, so these shows are coming up soon. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.